Well, I was struck as I was reading the the piece that you wrote with the award, and believe me, I'm familiar with awards being used also for PR purposes. I'm an author. I've won a few awards, and some of them were, where people vote on you, and some of them were just a PR piece. So I'm aware that there's different reasons why we do these awards, but your writing, it struck me as being, as being what you say. You sounded fairly objective. I think there were some things that I could contend, as far as this whole thing about pensions. Forbes doing quite an intensive report on the truth, which is that pensions don't break the bank. Pensions aren't taxpayer drain. And so there's a lot of things theoretically that I could talk about in that article, but I will look forward to going back and seeing it. And I think, just to tell you, as a reporter for the other side, so to speak, the part of the complaint was, and isn't, and this is maybe the conversation is where we get into the difference between a PR piece, because you have a PR company, and one might think that there's clients in your company that would hire you to create a journal and then promote them. And if that was the case, you did very well, because the major media, the corporate media, picked up on this and has taken it and run.
Yeah.
And
no, I actually, my soul, I did, again, this is just some personal history. I moved to Washington 2 years ago. When I first moved here, I did set up a PR, consultancy. I had very few clients, and right now my sole focus is on Governor's Journal. I do have an ad on Governor's Journal for my, it's really a writing and media training consultancy, but my sole focus for the last year has been on Governor's Journal. I haven't even made an effort to get other clients, and I certainly don't have any political clients. So, in other words, Scott Walker isn't a client.
yeah,
I don't have any clients in Wisconsin. As I said at the beginning of the interview, I have long thought that, as a former journalist, that this is an avenue that has never really been covered, trying to cover governors from a national perspective, and that's what I'm trying to do, and I've invested my time and resources in it.
So this has helped you too. It's gotten the Governor's Journal more attention, obviously.
It has, but I have to be honest, I didn't expect this kind of reaction. It was just the end of the year, and it's kind of a natural thing to do, to write some kind of an end of the year thing. And I was actually, last week, I think it might still be on the front page of the site. I wrote two articles last week, one looking back on 2011 and one looking ahead to 2012. And while I was writing those, I said to myself, hey, I should name a Governor of the Year. And so I started thinking about it, and I concluded, that Walker should be the Governor of the Year. And as I explained earlier in the interview, I thought Malloy and Cuomo should be near the top two, so I decided to write an article about each one of them as well. And I didn't plan it as a PR thing, but I admit that I've gotten a huge response, and I'll certainly do it next year.
Well, I think, just so you can understand where probably a lot of it came from, is that when you're not in Wisconsin, and when you're not on the ground, and we've been covering the legislature inside out, which has been a horrifying experience all in and of itself, seeing what they're doing to dismantle the state. But when you're not on the ground here, you don't understand how divisive it is. It's palpable, and people are, it's just, and you're absolutely right. This is going to be, the whole world will be watching the recall election, and everything that leads up to it. So we're hoping to uncover some of more of the whole picture that the corporate media doesn't pick up. So, and the other award that was given to him, if you hadn't heard, was the Joe McCarthy Renaissance Award.
And who gets that?
It's an award that was given to him somewhat satirically based on your award by a group of citizens who are desperately trying to get the truth of what's been going on in Wisconsin up into the press. And so many people in the state see him as Joe McCarthy in a bad way. So it's quite a time over here, but thank you so much for your. This was very enlightening. I'm glad I called, and I'll be doing a report on this and including the other one, and I'll send you a link to it. It's my first WCMC report. So.
Okay, great. And just some of the points you made at the end there. I don't claim to be an expert on Wisconsin politics. I'm following it from, looking from above, not the daily aspect. I'm sure that it's very divisive and very emotional, but again, I was simply looking at it from a national perspective. Which governor of the 50 has had a greater impact? And I would say even his most vicious opponent in Wisconsin, I would think would sit down with a list of the 50 governors at their kitchen table and, very quickly conclude it must be Walker because just look at the impact he's had here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I don't think even people on the extreme other side would deny that. But I think what I'm saying to you is what the effect that had for those of us trying to fight the truth out about the criminality and all this is a hostile takeover of our government, and you may not frame it that way, but this is what we're dealing with. And so now the other side has taken this governor of the year, and the echo chamber has begun to pump more out-of-state money. I mean, he's got endless supplies of money, and he's never in the state. He's in California right now as we speak fundraising, and there's a question of he recently brought a staff member onto his department administration direct from the Karl Rove camp with ethics questions of her own as they try to dismantle our First Amendment and our Fourth Amendment rights at the Capitol. So this is full-fledged, whatever you call it. So just so you know, and I know you probably didn't mean, you weren't thinking here I'm going to, make it harder for those poor people in Wisconsin. But that's kind of what happened. So
yeah, I mean, I've been getting a lot of emails, and I've been responding to most of them, and most of them are angry, and they have a lot of emotion in it and bad language. But again, my standard response is, just to paraphrase, I didn't say he was the best governor. I said he was the one who had the most national impact, and that's the only point I was making. And I'm probably planning to go out to Wisconsin in the next couple of weeks for a reporting trip, and I'll get more into the local detail. But the purpose of this article was just to say again which governor had the greatest impact nationally.
Yes, and that would be great to come and see what's really going on. I mean, on the ground, and so. Well, Dean, thank you.
Are you close enough to the recall effort? I guess the 15th is the deadline, but do you think actually anything is going to happen on the 15th, or do you think that the recall organizers will have some kind of event to say we've gotten the signatures we needed before the 15th?
We know that we have what we need right now, but they're withholding the numbers so that we keep working to reach our million goal.
And they're going to keep working till the 15th.
Oh gosh, yes. Everybody is, and doubling now, because we've got some major Republican representatives that are being recalled for, I think, including one of the big Fitzgeralds. So, it's exciting. It's an exciting time to be here, that's for sure.
Yep.
So.
All right. Well, thank you for calling, and I hope I explained myself.
You did. Thank you so much for your time.